Ladies and gentlemen, learning to swim ballet underwater, particularly without air tanks, is extremely difficult and requires many hours of complicated practice.
Aquareinas Springs started out as kind of like a roadside attraction. Their first features were an underwater theater and the glass bottom boats. It was formed originally kind of out of those two attractions that were centered around the lake. So, you know, the idea behind it was kind of like, well, we have this really like super clear lake. What can we do with it?
And then they had all sorts of like different kind of attractions, including a mermaid show that had a swimming pig as its little star.
Holy mackerel, that's right! See, the friend of yours, the lake. Big Ralph might show us his famous slide dive today.
And so they'd have like the different people up on the surface, and then they would like jump in the water, have like a bottle, and then Ralph would jump off whatever it was, like some sort of volcano like scenery, and we'd swim after the bottle and go towards the trainer. And then they would go down below, and then the mermaids would be drinking water and drinking sodas and doing different kind of acrobats underwater.
The Aquamaids started out as underwater acrobats, and the key thing there that they didn't have yet were mermaid tails. For at least like the first 10 years, these underwater performers would do all sorts of tricks and their performance space in the lake with the air hoses coming down if they needed to take a breath. All of that was in place.
They had these like hoses that was connected to like an oxygen tank, so they would breathe in, do something fun, and then they breathe again. You know, that's how they could be down there without having all the scuba diving mask and stuff on them.
As the park grew and the various seasons, you know, went on, I think by the mid 1960s, late 1960s at least, the underwater acrobats had become, at least for all the women that did it, they were mermaids.
The Rogers family owned it, and then they ended up selling it. And then that company ended up selling it. It just wasn't making enough money to make. And when you think about like the economy back whenever it was being sold in the 80s, there was a big financial crisis, and that people just didn't have money to go out and doing things like that.
Since all of the buildings and remnants of the theme park and the underwater show have been taken out here, it's been like an important thing to preserve that memory, and in the efforts to communicate what used to be here, it's sort of more, you know, returned to the city as a whole. So you've got the mermaid statues now, the Mermaid Society, the Mermaid Parade, you know, basically a whole like mermaid season in San Marcos, which is really cool.
I think the most special for me, at least as a little girl, was to see the Aquamaids perform. For me, that was a very, very fond memory of seeing that. It was just fantastic. And so I became very passionate about the idea of the mermaid making a comeback to San Marcos. What other symbol could possibly represent San Marcos in such a uniting way? And my hope was that the mermaid was something, the symbol of the mermaid, although she was really at that point, or back when, an entertainer, a performer underwater, that she could take on a new role. And that role would be, you know, protector of our river and champion, you know, for the arts and really all things San Marcos.
You know, when you have a child's attention, and the mermaid does do that so beautifully, that is the door that has cracked in order to get some conservation messages. You know, how do we protect the water for the mermaids? where does the water come from? It's just an opportunity to educate children at a very young age about the aquifer. Where does this water come from? What does this water hold? What endangered species also live in the water? And so I feel like the mermaids open the door for education, and that's so important at young ages.
What once was the Aquamaid, and that was the title given to these beautiful underwater performers back in the day, right? What is now, we've taken that, continued it, and had this transformation of the mermaid from a performer to actual, boots on the ground, fins in the water, if you will. And a new title was created, and that is the Aquareina, so Water Queen.
Being an Aquareina to me is very special because I came to Aquareina Springs when I was 9 years old. My brother brought me here, and it was a vacation for us, and that was my first time seeing the mermaids swimming. And I, of course, at that age, you fall in love with mermaids. And the whole purpose of being a mermaid is being a steward for our river. And instead of coming at the kids like everybody else does, in a school platform with a teacher explaining, or some other guest speaker that's just, playing Jane and just standing there and just speaking about, hey, pick up your trash, take care of the river. So instead of coming at the kids that way, the vision was, let's bring a magical creature in front of the kids that will be more imprinted in their minds after we're gone. And when they're at the river, they'll remember more likely the mermaid that came to them and talked to them and said, pick up your trash, as opposed to a regular person in regular clothes coming and just giving a speech about how we got to take care of our river and everything like that. We keep it as real as we can in their eyes. Of course, the question always, are you a real mermaid? And and that's a hard question to answer. After being asked so many times, my answer to the kiddos now is, I'm as real as you want me to be. So, and usually when I answer them that way, they are just like stunned, and they don't have anything else to say after that. And then with the older crowd, my approach to them it's just being straight honest, and it's like, yes, you're correct. I'm not a real mermaid, but I'm here. And then I just explain to them, I'm here to talk to you because I feel like if I come to you in this pretty costume and I come dressed like this, you're more likely to remember my message than if I just came here in a dress.
So the Aquareinas really have helped us to be more in the community. Obviously, more numbers in the community, representing Mermaid Society and our mission. They're really involved in helping us further develop our programming, our public relation, opportunities where they are representatives of Mermaid Society, but also representing Mermaid Capital of Texas. So we're really very excited about that programming. We're in our second year this year, and we're going into our third in 2024. We just launched the second phase to our Youth Eco Guardianship book program. We started this program with 3 libraries, the San Marcos Public Library, the Wimberley Library, and the Martindale Library, with the idea of donating eco-education type books to the library, in addition to mermaid books, of course. And that was really successful last year in 2022. But just recently in September, which was the second part of our goal, was to expand this programming to all 7 elementary schools in San Marcos, in addition to kindergarten. So really excited to say that we've accomplished that because of our Aquareinas. They've been able to really help us again, be much larger in numbers to be able to accomplish these things. So all 7 elementary schools in San Marcos now have a specialized library within their library. And these books are dedicated to eco-education, inspiring children to learn more about recycling and, protecting our earth and, ways that they can contribute to that. But also there's the fantasy part to it, which is all things, it's really all things mermaid societies where we bring science and fantasy together. And so we have books about mermaids as well.
The mermaids allow us to merge art and conservation with a sprinkle of that magic that captures so many different types of people's attention. And so whereas a little blind salamander might not capture everyone's attention, the mermaids kind of do that in a way that really encompasses something that's important to San Marcos, which is the San Marcos River. And anything that allows us to talk about the magic of the San Marcos River and why it's been important to cultures for thousands of years is really something that can't be replicated. That's something that's really critical to continuing the conversation around conservation and how we ensure that this river is here for future generations.